Good evening, everybody. My name is Cynthia. I am the founder of Black Autism Coalition. And it's such a pleasure to have everybody here with us, where we're gonna have a special guest tonight. As I promised, I will bring the expert to you guys. So you'll be able to have your questions answered. And today is such a pleasure to have a wonderful lady with us. Okay, I'm gonna add her right now. It's be so more excited to just have her on that platform, guys. And her name is Rashida Biera. Um, and it's such a pleasure to have you here with us. And thank you for taking the time as well out of your busy day, because
For
this lady right here,
sure.
busy lady. But when I reached out to her, she did not hesitate to say yes. And I'm sure you guys that are listening right now and people that are coming on as well too gonna have such a great time with the information she's gonna bring. So I'm not gonna brag too much about you, because I want you to brag about yourself and you are doing. And I know a lot of people probably don't know who Rashida is and would love to know Rashida, especially the people from Massachusetts, because we know the Atlanta people, they know who you are, right?
Right,
Probably have
exactly.
worked with you, some of the families, but here in Massachusetts, we wanted to introduce incredible woman that's doing an amazing work. So, Rashida, before we get started, because everybody's like, yeah, I know the title is What is ABA? I want to know what ABA is, or my son or my daughter just got diagnosed. They're talking about getting ABA services. We're going to get into that. But before, we wanted Rashida to come in and let her voice be heard. Let us know who you are, what the amazing work that you've been doing in the community.
For sure. All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me here, Cynthia. I definitely appreciate it. So I'm Rashida. I'm originally from New York, but I live in Atlanta, Georgia. Let's see. So a little bit about me. So I started in the field of just special education and just the field of ABA when I was a paraprofessional in a middle school. And someone came in, he was a BCBA and he was, coming in and just training the teachers, how to work with kids who have autism, in the ABA life skills portion. I was like, oh, okay, I'm interested in ABA. So he told me about it, what I needed to do to go to school for it. Um, so at that time, I already had my undergrad. My undergrad is in social work with a minor in psychology. So I was like, okay, well, I wanted to be a social worker, but ABA came in, and he really told me about the field and things like that. So I said, okay, I'll be interested in something like that. So once I already had my undergrad, and then I became an RBT. So the RBT is the person who works directly with the child. So we'll kind of get into that. So I did my course to become an RBT, and basically that's when I started working directly one-on-one with the kids. So my experience is mostly in home, um, and then I'm working with in home with more so early intervention. And then I said, okay, I love doing this. So then I became a BCBA. I did the master's program, got my hours, took this hard exam, to become BCBA. And yeah, and I became a BCBA at the start of the pandemic. So that was difficult, right? Having to learn telehealth and, being a brand new BCBA, having to learn telehealth, that was, pretty difficult. So currently, I'm a clinical director over two early intervention clinics, two Black owned early intervention.
She's busy.
Yeah, over I'm a clinical director over two early intervention clinics. Yeah. So, we service, kids in our area and also kids in school as well. So we really focus on school readiness. So a lot of our kids, come to our clinic. We have like a mock classroom, we have sensory area, we have different areas in our clinic. So when the kids actually get ready for school, they feel comfortable being in the school setting because they already been in the classroom or they already been around peers and things like that. So we try to get them school ready because we have kids that are 2, 3 years old, right? So when we think of, so ABA is basically a scientific approach of understanding behavior.
Mhm.
So when working with early intervention, some parents their kids are newly diagnosed with autism. So right, they're 2, 3 years old. At that time they're non-vocal, right? They're not able to communicate their wants and needs. So we may use a communication board for them to communicate. Some of them may engage in problem behavior, screaming, kicking, yelling, because at that point they can't communicate what they want. So now we need to teach them appropriate way to communicate. Okay, we're going to teach you sign language, or we're going to teach you, how to use a communication board, or how to point to what you want instead of crying and screaming. So basically, ABA just we teach things in little steps, but then we also teach replacement behavior so the child can able to go out into society and be able to use these socially acceptable behaviors, right? So we focus on ADLs, right? Are they able to, some kids we have to potty train them, or if they're, teaching them, social skills, teaching them to be able, to communicate, what they want, you know, um, reducing problem behavior with some kids that may engage in aggression, trying to decrease those behavior, things like that. So we really try to teach the child how to be able to function in society so they can be in general education classes and not have to be in special ed with, even though there's nothing wrong with that, we try to start early. So by the time they get 6, 7, 8 years old, they're able to possibly not have an IEP, or they do have an IEP, is minimum support. So, but ABA doesn't always have to be with kids, I mean, people can, ABA can be used anywhere, right? So you can use ABA, and let's say OBM is called organizational behavior management. So Chase Bank can hire, a BCBA, or, teach them ABA about culture of their company. You can work with animals, you can do anything, because ABA has to do with behavior. It's applied behavioral analysis. So you can do ABA with everything. It's not just children. So yeah, that's just, a little bit about ABA. And a big part of ABA as well is the parent training portion, right? We want to make sure that when we are, teaching the kids and giving them all these tools, we have to make sure that the parents are aware of what's going on, right? Because we want to make sure that they are able to just to be consistent at home, have that support at home, and to say, hey, this is what we're doing at the clinic. This is what works, work on these. If you have any questions, we try to have parent training just so, because consistency is key when it comes to working with kids who have autism, and just they like to be on the schedule, they like consistency. So we try to make sure that it's a collaborative effort and everybody has to do their part for the child to succeed.
Mhm.
So
I'm glad you said the part about the parent, because
sure.
we are doing this right now,
Yeah.
talking about ABA.
Yeah.
My son is having his ABA session right now, right? And then when he's learning right now, he's how
Sure.
to shower himself, because we
Right.
want him to be able to do that on his own, not us all the time doing it for him. And then you're talking about the schedule, so he has a schedule already set up, even though we started like a week ago. But like you said, the parent presence is
Hmm.
what's very important to get the work done, because they want that consistency.
For
Yes,
sure.
I'm here doing this with you. However,
Yeah.
my husband is also there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, he
Sure.
is
For sure.
there,
Yeah.
and he's getting the directions from the BCBA that's also there, and then the RBTA person is also there with them, and then we are working together.
Yeah.
That's
Sure.
very important. And a lot of the times families think like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna let the BCBA and everybody
Yeah.
else handle everything, and
Exactly.
then
Exactly.
and my kid gonna be able to do everything that they are capable of once they do it.
For sure.
However, they don't know about their participation. Why is it very important,
Important.
right? We have
Sure.
Tamara Michelle, who's an amazing mom, right? Autism mom. We have a big village, okay? So we all roll together. And
Yeah.
then, she said ABA was a total success for my son.
Yeah.
Parent classes helped me so much, and it was, I could testify from that too.
Mhm.
And there were a lot of things my son was not able to do, and because of the ABA, that's how he's able to do. And I'm not gonna get deep into it, but I wanted to bring it up a little bit, because when it comes to ABA, I've had a lot of sessions, especially groups that I came in where children or adult now with autism, they like a no to ABA, and there's this fight like, oh no, you shouldn't have your kids, do ABA.
Mhm.
And then you have parents that's like, I understand how you may feel because everybody have their different opinion on that, but however, I had my experience and my experience was good, like Tamara had her experience as well too. Her experience is also good. So I know, like I said, it's a tricky thing because you have
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
whole history of ABA. Was it a great thing back in the days? You know what I mean?
yes, right.
Now it's more different.
Yeah, and now, of course, parents, make sure that you do your research, right? You have to make sure that you do your research, and just make sure that the company, that you're going with, have the same kind of values that you have. Should you just make sure like ABA is different. It has changed. Just as long as you're consistent, you have that support team. And the owner of the company that I work for, she's also a BCBA. And she also has a son who has autism, right? So, having a company that the owner and the clinical director, like everybody is on the same, everybody is, have that experience. And, she has to buy in with the parents because she also has a son who has autism, right? And she's also a BCBA. So just knowing, just doing your research when it comes to the company, and just making sure you're asking those questions. We do a parent orientation. When we get a parent that comes in, we have to make sure that they feel comfortable. We do group parent training. And we try to do a lot of things, with the community, with the parents. So we try to involve them a lot, and different things. And sometimes we'll send them a video of their child engaging in, like, different activities, that they want to see, so they can see the progress of them at the clinic. So it's definitely a collaborative thing, and from the start to the end, we make sure that the parents are comfortable. The parents, have the support that they need, whether it's if their kid needs speech or OT, just having that other collaborative part of of the ABA. And it's the process. As long as you're consistent, it can take time. Not every kid is the same, so you just have to be positive, and just know that you have a team behind you, to support you. Because as a I don't have a, I don't have kids, so I don't have kids, period. But just, I could just imagine just having a child with autism could be a lot, could be, stressful on the parents. So we want to make sure that they're supported. And then if they ever have any questions about anything, that we're always there, because, some parents are just finding out that their kid is diagnosed with autism. Some find out at 2 or 3, some may find out at 6, 7 years old. So our thing at our clinic is trying to get them ABA early, right?
Mhm.
Just getting them diagnosed early, because especially in the Black community, sometimes we don't have the resources to know immediately. So they're 7, 8, 9 years old. Now they're in special education, and like, oh well, he had autism. We just not finding out, when if we would have known and the parents would have had the resources maybe a couple of years ago, maybe we could have, started ABA sooner.
Mhm.
So sometimes just making sure that, sometimes it's hard for, people of color to have those resources, or sometimes, the doctor and be like, oh, it's ADHD, oh, whatever. So just make sure that you're advocating for your child, because your child, when it's like, no, he's not, giving me eye contact, or no, he's not, babbling words and things like that. So, yeah, so ABA is definitely helpful. You just have to be consistent and just make sure that you are with the right company.
Yep,
For sure.
absolutely. The right company. It's, I mean, I could testify toward that. Like I have on my oldest, we had ABA for him. He's about to be 13 now. We
Okay.
had it since he was 5, the same company, and he was working with the same person. I mean, the BCBA got changed to a
Yeah.
different BCBA, but it was the same person he was working with. It didn't work with my other son because of the virtual. Didn't do it.
Yes. Right.
However, they all would have been able to do it together. I'll be still with the
Okay.
company. Just like Tamara mentioned about the trial and error. After it, I couldn't do it with the company that I've been with so many years. Now I had to change to a different company, and it's like, oh, I start all over again, and it's like, I'm not used to this. What's going
Right.
on?
Right.
You know,
Right.
just want to let people know too as well. Ask questions. There's nothing wrong
Sure.
with
For
questions.
sure.
Like,
For
you
sure.
know, people might give you attitude, roll their eyes. That's a good sign. If you're rolling your eyes, so what else you gonna be capable of? But
Right.
by asking these questions, that kind of like bring like, okay, if this person is very understanding, they will help you,
For
And
sure. For sure.
one thing too that you said earlier, I wanted to make sure we talk and touch on that as well. It's the early intervention, because a lot of times, especially in our Black community,
Mhm.
there's a long wait and when it to diagnose our children, right? And
Sure.
early intervention is the best place to go, right? You don't need a big diagnosis to go to have your child, you know, go and get an evaluation with early intervention. When they start early like this, you can find out, like you said, certain things and get them on track. And then, if later on they get that diagnosis from the doctor, but that
Mhm.
shouldn't be a stop not to at least trying to get them there. So talk a little bit about, I know you mentioned it earlier, but I want people to be aware of that. There are some families, they're noticing things. Like today I was in class, and while I was in class, they were talking about things to look out for, right? I have a 10-month-old baby. Yes, I do have, three children already, that have been evaluated, diagnosed and stuff. But now I have a baby. Now I'm looking at different steps. Okay, do I see this? Do I see that? Now I
Mhm.
pay so much attention that I did not have this information before, because now knowledge is power, right?
For
But tell
sure.
them a little bit about the early intervention part, because some families, they're like, yeah, right away. Okay, I see certain things my son is not doing. All of a sudden, they're like, yeah, maybe he has autism. That's it. You know what I mean? But, early intervention is a great way to kind of like help you out with, different things that you're seeing in your child.
Yeah, yes. So, um, like I mentioned, so every child is different, of course, right? So, like the kids that we have, they may be 2 years old, and at that point, a lot of the kids that we have, they may be non-vocal, right? They're not babbling or they're not imitating, right? So when it comes to imitation, if you was to, just do peekaboo or something, like, would your child be able to, also like do the same thing? Or if you were to clap your hands, is your child able to clap their hands? Or are they giving you eye contact, right? Sometimes that's normally like that, the eye contact. A lot of the kids may, maybe engage in like maybe sensory, they may not like certain foods or certain texture foods, or a lot of them may just, instead of being able to point to something that they want, they may, cry because they can't, like, maybe they're not able to babble words, or so it just depends. It just, early intervention, I know for us, and I'm not, a doctor, so I can't say exactly what other little, I guess, signs to look for, as far as once they get diagnosed. But I know by the time they get to us, like I mentioned, some of the kids, they're not vocal. They have no words. They're not able to communicate at all, make any sounds, or anything. And a lot of them engage in parallel play, so they're not used to being around peers, so they don't make eye contact with peers. They just play by themselves. A lot of kids may line up different toys, because they're just used to, lining up toys is like a sensory thing for them. Or, a lot of kids need that, maybe like a weighted vest, or they like to, so it just depends. Like, once, by the time they come to us, we kind of know, okay, early intervention, we know we work on communication, we know we work on social skills, we work on, potty training, right? Because by the time they get to school, they have to be potty trained. So it it can definitely vary, but just knowing, like, is your child able to have that eye contact? Are they looking at you? If you call their name from far away, will they orientate their head to look at you? If you call their name and they're not even paying you no mind, or if you're this close to them, are they making eye contact? So, it's just those little things that we probably don't pay attention to, but sometimes it does make a difference. So, letting the doctor know, like, hey, I see a difference in my child. He's not, he or she is not babbling any words, or things like that. So normally communication is normally the first part. So, sometimes kids may just need speech therapy, but sometimes it may be okay. Now there's a sensory aspect of it, and then, they'll get that diagnosis from their, pediatrician or psychologist, or, things like that. So, um,
Yeah, you summarize it very well. And like I said, knowledge is power. And as I was in class today, that's one of the things that they were discussing is those red flags, right? I took
mhm,
some notes, so I'm gonna say these things, not better than her, but at least like, because there were doctors that were there. And then you, like you said, I'm not a doctor myself,
right,
but
right,
these doctors were there. They're like, hey, watch out for these things. And what they did
right,
is, and I'm gonna repeat them. It went by the child's age,
right.
things.
The milestones.
Yes, milestone on
Mhm,
what they're supposed to be doing and what they are not doing. So I'm gonna say them real quick for the new parents like myself, right? That's we
right,
getting everything back over again. Like they said, like, 2 months, look for the lack of visual fixation, right? You
mhm,
talk about that. If there's no social smile, like,
mhm,
usually when kids are that age, they start doing that little smile, that you see their little gums are very
right,
cute and stuff.
right,
Look for these things. 4 to 6 months, fail to track person or object, right? We
mhm,
should see those eye movement going on, no steady head control, right?
mhm,
No response turn to sound or voice, right? 6 months, decrease in absence of vocalization, right? Now my son, he's so cute. He'll be like, hey, 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 we're looking out for all these different
right,
things,
right.
and then you got 9 to 12 months fail to sit independently.
Mhm.
Does that mean all of a sudden, like, if your child doesn't do it right away, there's a problem? But it's just to look out for them.
Yeah,
So
for
that
sure.
when you go to your pediatrician, you can say, hey, I noticed this, like,
Yep.
and then now they're doing a better job than before. I'm telling you, when I
That's
had my first one till now, the questions that they are asking make you think a lot now. Like, it's like,
yeah,
okay, I'm gonna watch out for this, I'm gonna watch out for that. 18 months, it says fails to walk independently, does not seek or share attention. Like, I was so happy. I saw my son at 9 months started walking. I'm like, yay, that my son is
yeah,
working, right? Like I said, your son or your daughter might not do it. That doesn't mean like they have a problem, but
for
watch
sure.
out for these signs, right?
Sure.
24 months, not a single word. You talk about that communication, right? 36 months, no 3-word sentences, right?
Mhm.
Cannot follow simple commands. And then, we're looking at less than a 3 year. We talk about the speech again, and then the dependence on gesture, how to follow comments. So all
Yeah,
these things are things for us to look out for. Don't say, oh yeah, they'll do it another time or whatever. Just look out for them and then show
yeah,
your concerns to your providers and stuff. And then, like I said, that early intervention is key. All my kids went to early intervention. When I found out about it for my first one, there's certain things I didn't see. My first son, he was
mhm.
not communicating. You
Right.
know, he was like 3 years old, was just one single word. And I'm like, there's something we need to do. We got him into early intervention. We got our second one sooner. And my third son, I said, hey, two children before, now we got to get things moving earlier, because the,
Right.
the more you learn, the better that you do. So this is very important for parents. I want to make sure, especially, our people in our Black community, we have different
Sure.
cultures. We are aware of that. But
Sure.
please, guys, do not delay on certain things. It's very important that, our children get what they deserve. So the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, right? We've seen there are not many, Black in this field, right? And we know there are young people out there. Thank God, like, when the person came to you, that BCBA, you embraced it. You know what I mean? You're like, hey, let me go for this. But what advice would you give? There are some young people out there that, they're thinking about getting in the field and stuff. Give them a little bit about your experience, what you're experiencing in the field, and what differences are you able to make in your community as well.
Yes, for sure. So just being able to, like I said, the start will be, if you, if you are working, in a school or daycare, just the first start is becoming, if you want to, like a registered behavior therapist, right? That's the start. That's kind of will kind of get you, get your foot in the door, look at different, ABA companies maybe in your area, or they have undergrad degrees in, ABA. And then I know Savannah State, and in Georgia, they're the first HBCU that have a ABA undergrad program. And I've done a few talks with their students, with being the first HBCU that has a ABA program, right? That's extremely important because in the field of ABA, it's not a lot of BCBAs.
Mhm.
It's a really, really small percentage of BCBA that are Black in the field of ABA. Really, really small. So just being able to also find a mentor, find somebody that's in the field that can kind of help guide you, to what you want to do. Because like I said, ABA is so broad, you can do so much with it. So people can work with seniors, elderly people, work with kids, you can work with teens, you can, it's so much you can do. So for me, just being in the field of ABA, like a lot of the kids that I had that I serviced was also, I never really had a lot of Black kids that I serviced, right? All my BCBAs were mostly white, right? So like I've never really experienced it as well. So I was like, it's even a lot of us in the field,
Mhm.
so it's different, just cultural, just certain things. Sometimes that can be a little different, especially when you're going into, these clients' home,
Yes.
right? And then they see a Black girl and they're just like, oh, like like one time I went to a client's home,
Mhm.
and I left and it's like, oh, are you the new nanny? And I was like, no,
Wow.
not I'm not the nanny. No, I'm not the nanny. I'm not the babysitter. I'm
Mhm.
not the housekeeper. I am not like, I'm educated and I am so this is like the neighbor. This is like somebody that's like no one knew who I was. It's just like, okay, this Black girl is going to this home for it. Like she has to be something else besides maybe somebody
Mhm.
educated that's coming in here and helping their child,
Mhm.
or just just being or sometimes, I get a little bit undermined, because it's like, they're undermining me because like, what do you know about how to teach my child, And so just having to deal with that. But now just knowing where you fit in, like now I work for a company where all the staff is, it's people of color, the owner is, and even the kids that we service, we service, people of color, kids of color, right? So just the importance of the representation of them seeing a RBT or therapist or BCBA that looks like them. The parents can relate, right? Like when we're doing a task analysis of washing Black girls' hair, like we know how to wash our hair, but other people that's not Black don't wash. We don't wash our hair every single day. So it's a lot of cultural things that that they can't relate to. So it's like when you have a Black BCBA, well, with your Black kids, we can relate a little more to like what we're used to, what our norm is, right? So or just getting our hair cut or certain things that that we do in a Black household, when you're given ABA may be a little different, right? So just also knowing that cultural piece of who you're servicing, right? So my thing is that just really advocating for people of color because it's, we don't get the resources early, right? So when we do have the resources, we make sure that the parents is supported. If there anything out there as far as things that we can do to help them, ABA is not cheap in either, having to pay for, so having different services or things that can, that can help them. So just really finding a mentor, just really like looking at schools that like I said, mentioned about undergrad, schools that have ABA, master's program. They have a lot of online programs as well, and making sure the most important portion of it is when you're getting in school to be a BCBA is making sure that you have the right supervisor, because that your supervisor, for you to to get your hours to sit for your exam, that's really important because that supervisor is going to be the one to teach, show you about ABA, how to do different tasks, how to, give, supervision to your therapist, like, having that, making sure that you're really, communicating with your professor. So it's really just about, one, what do you want to do? Like, do you really want to work with kids? Do you want to work with elderly? Do you want to work with adults? Like, what do you want to do? And then just looking at the school, because it'll take you, about 2 years, 2.5 years. You want to get your master's in ABA. So, and like I mentioned, you can do so much with it, but just having a mentor, and really just and finding groups like company organizations like this to help them, and you just never know, to be like, hey, I'm looking for a therapist, or my child needs someone, and just never know. So
Yep, absolutely. I like the way you summarize it. One thing I wanted to ask you is being, in the field, like you said, is predominantly white, right? And there's not that many people of color that in the field. And you did a great job as far as letting people know how they can get involved in the field. And I remember, I follow your page because I love it.
thank you.
I
I
remember there was a statement, someone else posted it, but you posted it on your page. It says, like, when you have someone of color working your organization, it's very important that you find them a mentor of another BCBA of color, for example, so that way they can know how to navigate the field. Because there are, like you said, it's very difficult sometimes. Let's say now you work with children of color, but before you did not. Look at how you were portrayed, for example. So people got to get ready for these kind of things. And if you don't have somebody that's gonna say, like, hey, listen, this is how the field is, but it gets better over time. Because if maybe that day some people would have not be able to handle it the way you handle it, they probably would
right.
this is
Right.
new for me, or you know what I mean, like,
Right. Right.
take it overboard. But you looked at this and say, hey, listen, I'm gonna advocate more for people of color, so that way they can be able to embrace what they do. Because like you said, there's a culture difference, right? I am Haitian, and we spoke about that. And then I know there's certain things in my culture that some people don't know about, right? Like,
Right.
if, for example, at home we, when our kids come home, they kiss us on the cheek. That's, I've
Yes.
been doing that for a long time and stuff. But
Right.
sometimes, someone might come that day if they see my other son do it, but like, oh, we need to get rid of that behavior. No, it's part of my
Yes.
culture.
Yes. Right. 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 Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
So that question that I was asking, like, for these organizations, like, what advice would you give, like, and how should they also attract more people of color to come and work? Because we have a huge amount of children of color that is in the Black and brown community that's being diagnosed with autism, specifically, because this is what I know more of. How can they attract more people to come and work in their organization so these kids have that connection, like you said, and their parents as well?
Yes. So you mentioned how can the companies attract more?
Hmm.
Um,
More people of color to come
yes,
and work, and then also like how they should as well reach out to men and women of color that's in the field as well. I
mhm.
know the percentage is not that high, but there are some of them that can mentor the new one too that's coming in.
Yes, right, for sure. So with the field, just having, so for us, we try to reach out um to schools, that have people that maybe in their undergrad program for like psychology, and we reach out to schools to say, hey, do you have any students that want to do an internship with us, at out, at because where our clinic is, we have a like one or maybe like one or two, colleges in our area. So we will reach out to them to see. And so really it is tough because a lot of people kind of, to be honest, kind of fell into the field. A lot of people don't know about the field of ABA, right? Um, so really it's really just having to, and we were blessed to be able to have staff that are all people of color. And it's just like, wow, everybody in your staff. And that's very rare. But like we mentioned, like having to reach out to like different schools and just word of mouth, just, oh, okay, you work at, so and so, a company, I know, or parents may say, hey, my child goes to this great, ABA clinic, and then just sometimes parents may, know people or something, and it just depends. So it's really, especially for the therapist portion. But as far as BCBAs, like I said, it's not a lot of BCBAs. So just like if you're deciding like what you want to do as far as your field, I know for me, I didn't want to be a teacher, and my goal, like I was supposed to become a social worker. That's why I went. My undergrad was in social work, but then I found out about ABA. So it's, if you don't want to be a teacher and don't want to be a social worker, like ABA is kind of can have best, the best of both worlds. So just just reaching out if you are in school, reaching out to see if they have ABA clinics around your area, see if they're taking interns. If you're working, if you're working at a school or want to get into the field, the special education department. I was a parapro when I work in the school system in the special education department. So you just have to just use your resources, like I mentioned about. It starts with school, right? Because sometimes schools will post about, like for us, we have like job postings at different colleges, for interns or people who want to work for our school, and also where our clinic is based. Our clinic is based where there are a lot of minorities in our area, and I think the owner purposely open up her clinics in those areas, to service people of color, so I think that helps us because people who come to our clinic, they are people of color, so it just depends on like where you are as far as what state you live in. Some states may have a lot of rural areas where it may be hard to get a BCBA. So it can be a lot of factors. But if you're thinking about getting into the field of ABA, the first thing is to try to figure out like how to become an RBT in your area, and that can open doors. As far as, because once you get that, you can start working at ABA clinics, and there you'll find a BCBA that can mentor you to possibly want to continue school to become a BCBA.
Quick question for you. Can a parent be a RBT? Like, can you just go and get it done?
Yes, yes. A parent can be an RBT. It's just that it can't, the kind of conflict of interest, like it can't, of course, you can't be an RBT. Like if you wanted to be an RBT, you can, but you can't, because you need somebody. Say it again.
You won't be able to work with your child? Is that what it
I
is?
mean, you can work with your child on the own, but you can't like work at the company where your child is.
Oh, okay. No,
Like,
not
yeah,
to more work.
yeah,
The
yeah.
questions I wanted to know, like, sometimes you want the knowledge, right? And then
Yes, yes,
certain
yes,
things is like, hey, why not, right?
yes,
Why
yes,
not get that knowledge? Why not get this going on? So that's
yes,
why, like, I was asking about it because I remember I was looking at it in a group. Mom mentioned that, and then they're
sure.
like, that's a great thing to do. Like, hey,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have some parents, like you mentioned, that just want, but when you become an RBT, you have to take a course, it's a 40-hour course, and then you also have to have a BCBA,
mhm,
who has to, it steps to it. So if you want like more information, you can go to like the BACB website,
mhm,
where and then they can like explain like what the steps are to becoming an RBT.
mhm,
So that is beneficial because you have both sides. Like for me, I was an RBT and I was a BC, and I'm a BCBA, so I know both sides of being the RBT, and being working directly with the child, and then also being the BCBA who's over the case. And then now as a clinical director where I'm over two clinics and have 70 something staff members,
mhm.
I'm able to kind of see both sides. So yes, being a parent, and who's an RBT, that's definitely could be a thing, for sure. And I like my parents ask questions and want to know more about it. Like I always say, like ask as many questions as you want, because you may not know, right? So and they were like, you know, If they ask a question, like it's not a stupid question, you don't know, so just ask whatever question because you need that support, and some parents are single parents,
Mhm.
they are single parents, and some of them may not have that support. So
Yep, absolutely. So someone asked a question, how can I find an ABA center in Ohio, right? So I would say, well, this is me being a parent,
right.
and you can give your input as well. As far as like the ABA centers and stuff, you can find them from your pediatrician. Sometimes they have a list of all these, ABA centers. That's very have really high reputation. They have that list with them, that they can refer you. And many times it's up to you. They're not gonna call. You're gonna have to call because
Hmm.
sometimes big waiting list. I don't know for Ohio, but I know in Massachusetts there's a long waiting list. And then you can as well to go online. You can go online and look at the reviews. The reviews are the perfect thing because if a parent something bad happened, the first thing they're gonna make sure these reviews and people are well aware of. One information I wanted to say is, I remember there was a review that I saw, and there was a company I didn't have no hope. Like it was really bad for me. I needed the ABA for my son. And then the company called me. I said, hey, sure. And I remember that review, and exactly what the person said is exactly what happened. So be intentional when you're reading these reviews, because these parents, I'm not saying 100%, but there are some things they are telling you the truth, about. So you'll see all these listing online, like you're gonna have to call and see what their waiting list. And it's okay, you can put your name as many waiting lists, and wherever they find a place for your child or to get that evaluation going, they'll let you know about it. So I'm gonna let you Rashida, maybe you can add to what I said, more than me. So
Yes. So also just different, Facebook groups, and also I don't know if you guys are aware of like Autism Speaks.
mhm,
So it's a website, and you can put in like, your I don't know exactly where on their website, but you can go on their website and they're just like resources for parents. And
mhm.
I'm sure they have like a directory where you can like find ABA, clinics in your area. So that's autismspeaks.org. And you can go on there and they have so many resources. And I'm sure if you call the number on there, put in your area, I'm sure someone will be able to help you find an ABA, company in your area. So
Yep.
autismspeaks.org.
Mhm. And then also to the DDS, it's called Department Development Services. They are able to help you through that too. I forgot to mention that. So these are the places that you can go, and then reach out to us. I'll try my best to help you. We are all one family, and we want to make sure everybody is able to find the services that they need. So let's get to it, right? We talk a lot about a lot of the things as far as like ABA, but one thing I wanted people to be aware of that you
Mhm.
do, and they see on the title, you're also the owner of Hue-man Expression. If you guys don't know, and I know some people on my Facebook already know because I have posted, and I was so excited. And I sent you the video of my son.
Yes, yes, I appreciate that.
It's
Yeah.
hard for you because a lot of the times, and us as parents, we have the therapist that's coming in, the BCBA, the RBT. They coming in working with our child, but our children, they are not connecting sometimes, and we're like, what's going on, but we're not noticing why is there not a connection, right? And this is what I want you to come and talk about, because I remember when I got this cards for my son, and still right now he's learning, he's excited because he sees pictures, he sees these young boys like himself, you see, the same color. And
Mhm.
it's not like, I don't want people who's listening to think like, oh yeah, this is something like to separate black and white. No, this is not what we're here to talk about. We talk
Exactly.
about a cultural connection, right? We want our children to be able to see themselves through these cards as they are learning,
Sure.
nothing different from what they have at home, for example. The same way they have that iPad, right? The iPad is the same color. They're like, hey, we want the same thing. So let's
Sure.
talk a little bit about human expression. And I know it's something that you're very passionate about, and you're out there, and I'm seeing every day, I'm seeing something new. Girl, you go. Right.
All
I'm
right.
making now. Go ahead.
So, yeah, so human expressions. Okay, so literally it was like I created it out of just the frustration of, as a BCBA, you're trying to make material for your kids. You have your brown kids, brown boys and girls, and you're just like online trying to find pictures, and you just like, okay, I don't know why there's no pictures of black kids. Like, no offense, I can put in black kids and white kids still will come up. Like, so it was kind of just like at that point, it's kind of like, okay, there's not and I was just like literally just talking to my husband. I was like, I need to create like some cards for us or some type of, you know, some type of stimuli material for us because it's not out here. And ABA has been around, or just not even ABA, just education has been around for, so long and with different avenues. And it's like, where are the pictures for our black boys and girls, right? Like where is these things, right? So like on my website I have this saying that I say, and it's its representation reflects the beauty of our reality, right? So that's like all on my page. I mean, all on my, my website, right? And basically that is like if a little black girl, little black boy see, like, if you see my pictures, I had to get a little room here.
Yeah.
Like, so like, you can see like
Yes.
she has her little bantu knots, and then we have like all different colors, and like,
Mhm.
but it's like it's realistic. It's the details in it. It's the different, from dark skin, from brown skin to different hair, hair types. We like to change our hair a lot, right? So like the little girls and the little boys seeing themselves doing things that like, oh, I want to blow a bubble, or I want to do what she's doing. Everybody's seen how the kids reacted to Little Mermaid. Right. And it was just something that was just like, oh my gosh, she's a black girl, or whatever, or whatever. So it's just something about that representation and them seeing themselves, um is different, and it's really hard to explain, but and people that don't understand won't understand, but we get it. So I decided, I was like, okay, well, let me start with communication cards, because there's not any out there as far as, for our kids. And I literally just, my husband, he's he created my website, he did my logo, and or like pictures that I want, I kind of say, hey, like, this is what I'm looking at, what do you think about this? And so like it's a collaborative, like, even though like I'm behind Human Expressions, my husband has been he has helped me with this company as well. And he let him say it, even though he's not a BCBA, like he knows a little bit about it because I talk about it all the time. So, and it's just, so I created them, and it's kind of like, we put it out there, and I was like, okay, but I think I've got so much support with it, and not even realizing like the impact that I've had from BCBAs, from friends that are speech and language pathologists, and it just, you know and I was like, oh my gosh, this was a need, and it was just from just me being frustrated with spending hours trying to find pictures, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of get like a little ridiculous, like, where is this stuff? Like, there's not any. So I just created it thinking, okay, we'll just see, maybe other people may need it as well. And just knowing, just, with you, Cynthia, you just contact, ordering the cards, and telling me how, sending me the video, and it was just amazing. I was like, oh my God, it's really making an impact, so, and then so I came from communication cards to, I have action cards, I have, potty training, cards, I have, cards for adults. Like, it's and I just plan to continue, like I plan to do like sequence cards, maybe sequence cards of, like, how to, wash black girls' hair. I plan to do like different safety pictures of, don't cross the street, don't do this, like, look both ways. Like, I plan to take this and like use it for like a lot of pictures for other different things. And so, And on the flip side of it as well is I have also, even though I've got some positive things, I've definitely got negative things as well, right? So it's not from us, it's from people that are not us. Like, well, what about our cards? Well, what about people that are not? And I was like, it wasn't an issue until now a black woman is making these cards, because everybody would have been okay, people that are not black, or people of color were, they were okay when the cards when I did not create these. But now since they're created, now it's like, well, what about this culture, or what about these pictures? It's like, well, right now I'm focusing on my people, me, like my people, so however anybody wants to take it, that's what it is, right? Because it wasn't a need. And I created these cards, for us, because we need them. So I've got a lot of positive, but I've got a few people that are a little negative, saying, we need, whatever, we need cards as well. So but yeah, it's just amazing. I plan to, just create, one day, who knows, I may see my cards in
Your
the
card's
book.
gonna be everywhere. That's
No,
what's
maybe they may be in, but I may have a stand in Barnes and Nobles. Who knows? Who knows? So they may, hey, I may have a little area in Target somewhere. I don't know.
It will happen. It
So
will happen. I can tell you these cards are amazing because I know I mentioned that to you. I remember when I had them, and then I'm like, oh, I'm having a new company, and I was like, these are the cards we are using.
yeah.
And she's a smart girl. She got it right away because, like, when she came back with all brown picture. I was like, you
Okay,
got
okay.
you
See,
see
it's those little things that we miss. Because like you mentioned, like they say the pictures and they're just like, okay. But like, when your son was like, he was like looking at he was like, so just looking at him, just like the way he was just like, wow, like this. And then it's so detailed, right? It's like, it's
Mhm.
not just like a stick figure, or
Yeah.
like it's it's like, it really, like, I made sure that like these pictures are our cousins and our kids and our, like they, so I just want to make sure, and then like different type of skin tones, right?
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
just so I really wanted to capture the beauty of black, right? This just the beauty of seeing our kids doing different activities and different sign language, and just doing different things like that. I want to make sure that these cards are beneficial for everybody, even if you're not, even if you're not a person of color, right? Even if you are, if you're not a person of color, I'm sure you probably work with kids who are, black and
Mhm.
brown kids, right? So like these cards are for you as well, because can you, like, I'm sure a parent, you're coming to a black, household as a, let's say, a white BCBA,
Mhm.
right? And you bring these cards out, and they're gonna be like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, okay,
Mhm. Mhm.
like, okay,
Mhm.
like you're trying to relate to us. I see. So, so I think it's definitely a conversation starter. And yeah, like I literally just in my house, just talking about it with my husband, and it's only been, I think we started this, I think it's like March, or like April, so it hasn't even been, it's really really new.
Mhm.
So and I also love different ideas. Like I always ask my BCBA friends, or like social media, like, hey, what type of cards do you guys want? What do you want me to come out with? So I'm always looking for different ideas. So anybody on on the show, or parents, any suggestions as far as different cards you all would like for me to create, you can go to my website, to humanexpressions.com, and email me.
You're saying it too fast. Take your
Oh,
time.
oh, here, that's my
Go check her website out. This website, you can be there's little bundles of things here. You can print them yourself. You can be lazy
yes,
with me and say, "Can you do it?" But
yes,
I would suggest print them out. It's
yeah.
so much easier and quicker.
Yeah, so like these little cards. So yeah, so you can also, so humanexpressions.com, you can also I have like digital copies, right? So you'll get like a login, once you purchase the pictures. It takes about 24 hours. I'll send you a login, and you can access the cards. So there is a print limit depending on which package you create. So we have digital cards, and then we also have physical decks. So if you want to purchase the physical decks, you can purchase online as well. And then we'll go from there. So I am looking at, like I mentioned, different ideas as far as future cards. It does take time to create the cards and come up with different ideas. So I'm really intentional as far as like how I come up, how I create the cards, looking at different ideas as far as like, our skin tone, our hair color, what they, what the kids, what they're wearing, things like that. So yeah. Say it again.
Give the website again. I'm gonna try to write it slow.
Okay. So it's
They
it's
have it.
yeah, so it's humanexpressions.com. So you want me to
H U
A
E.
yeah. HUEMANEXPRESSIONS.com.
All right, you
Human
guys. I'm gonna
expression.
put it in so you guys can see it here. Make sure you go check out Mrs.
Yeah.
Rashida.
Yes. And
This
I'm
me. And then
yeah.
the way you package them, that's what I love the most. I did not want to even open it. I was like, this cards out. It's just so nicely packaged. And you guys will see that once you order your package. And I'm like, this girl took time. And you can see her heart in there as well, too.
Yeah,
So make
thank
sure
you.
you guys go and check it out and share it with your BCBAs.
Yes,
And
please
who
share
knows,
them.
right? They might want more of these, in their organization. Like Rashida said, they do work with children of color. And it's nice for a family if someone come in and then they can connect. Like I said, when I showed it to her, I was like, but she's like, she got it. You know what I mean? She didn't, find some people of color
For
and then
sure.
make sure like, everything was well set for my son.
For
So
sure.
the good thing about these cards, like I said, they're not stick figures. They are
Yeah.
literally, you see the cute little face of a boy, cute little face. Tell your husband, great job. He's
Yes,
amazing.
yes. It's
Right?
like it's even like this one, like he's
Look at this.
smiling, and
There
he
you
has,
go. Glasses,
and
and then
and then look, oh, you see this
yep,
one,
the dress.
so it's and it's just the details in the cards, another kid jumping, and
Mhm.
it's just, so I just wanted to, and just even this one, look, you got a
Oh,
mom and a
oh my
hugging.
God, my son loved this. He's like they're hugging, and then mommy, hug. I'm like, yeah,
Yes, so I
like,
wanted to just make sure, yeah, that they, so but yeah, I definitely, and just even the name, like my husband helped me came up with the name, like Hue, different colors, different,
mhm,
and then human, right? So just like human pictures, like
mhm.
real, like you mentioned, not stick figures, like different shades of, black, right? Black is beautiful with different shades of us, and the human portion of it is important, right? And the expression, right? So with kids smiling, doing sign language, just different expressions. So the name was very intentional. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's human
amazing.
expressions. Yes,
Thank you so much for
for
the
sure.
sharing about your knowledge, about your
Yes.
company with us. And I'm sure this is not gonna be your last time with us. You're gonna come back
Yes.
and be like, we got more stuff going on. I
For
just
sure. For
I
sure.
just want to say thank you so much because
You're
I
very
know everyone's time is always precious. Every time someone come, especially in my platform,
welcome.
it means a lot to me from the bottom of my heart
Yeah.
because I'm always here to learn. And everything that I'm learning, I want someone else, like a mother, a father, to be able to learn it because a lot of people didn't have access. And this is the reason why I do what I do because I did not have anybody, and I don't want nobody to feel the way that I felt. So
For
we were
sure.
so happy to have you, Rashida.
Yes.
Till
Thank you,
next
everybody.
time.
Again.
Thank you for everybody that joined us. Please feel
Thank
free to
you.
share and
Yes.
make sure you share the link so people can go there. Visit it. Visit it. Look for
Yes.
yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I've my Instagram as well is
Yes.
expressions.
Give
I
her a
post a
like.
lot.
Yes.
Yes,
Follow,
I post
follow.
a lot on. Yes, I post a lot on there as well.
Mhm.
So just I'm trying to, it's human expressions as well. Trying to make sure. Yes, exactly. So it is it is human expressions.
I
on
get like that sometimes.
Instagram.
Don't worry. I'm like, I gotta
Yes,
double check.
yeah, it's
Because
like I'm double checking.
you choose your name and then they're like, oh, somebody else have it, and then you gotta
Right,
something
right,
else.
right. Exactly,
I
exactly.
Yep.
So it's
Keep
Hue-man Expression on Instagram as well. And like I mentioned, check out the website, email me if you have any questions. Like we are a community. We're here to support each other. So yeah. Thank you so much, Cynthia, for having me. I appreciate it. I will be
awesome.
on again.
Yeah,
Whenever you need me, just let me know. I'll take time out
you
of my
know how you
busy
reach
schedule.
out.
And you're my first, like, talk show. So,
Hey,
when I blow up, I can't forget about you.
you gotta
You know,
go back and like remember these.
I can't, like, when you see my stuff in Target and Barnes and Noble, you're gonna be like, oh, I know her. I know her. I interviewed her before she got famous.
Hey, it's gonna happen. We speaking things to existence. That's
For
why
sure.
we want to use our platform. There are sometimes people like yourself, they're not well seen. Like, like
For
we're
sure.
having this, we're not gonna have a lot of people, which is okay. But
Yeah.
it's gonna reach out to a mom or a dad. That's
Yeah.
enough for me, right? Because we want to
Sure.
make that
Sure.
difference in
Yeah.
someone's life. So again, thank you. All
Welcome.
right,
Thank you
everyone.
so
We'll
much,
see you next time.
everybody. Have a
Bye.
good evening. Bye.